So two of Europe's biggest satellite internet providers are joining forces to try and take on Starlink. So this is pretty interesting. So we've got, let me try to pronounce this name, Eutelsat and OneWeb. OneWeb, wonderful name. Eutelsat, a little bit, doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but they're joining forces. Eutelsat apparently has 46 geostationary orbit satellites. OneWeb has 428 satellites. And of course, they are planning to launch a lot more. And it is going to take a lot more satellites to catch up to Starlink because, Starlink has like over 2,500 deployed satellites at this point. And they're not planning on slowing down either. So definitely a pretty big competition going on. Now, both of the companies apparently have combined revenues of 1.2 billion euros, which is very substantial, obviously. One of the companies, I don't know exactly which one, I think we have OneWeb. A big portion of that is controlled by the UK, which, is... I honestly don't know. Is it good or is it bad? Obviously, whenever government's involved with companies, it can be decent for some things, but it can also be kind of scary for other things. And now, the companies are still waiting on official approval, because you need a lot of approval to merge companies and do sort of transfers like this. So I personally think this is pretty great. More competition in this new internet infrastructure space is always going to be great and interesting. It's just going to drive innovation forward. It's going to bring prices for consumers down. And satellite internet is very good to have in any case. Obviously, for most people, it doesn't make sense, right? It only really makes sense for people that are in very remote areas, but it's a great redundancy to have for our networks, everywhere else. If you look at the tragic situation in Ukraine with Russia and Ukraine war, for example, people lost power, people lost internet, and, then you have Starlink satellites that provide the internet, basically, making it possible for people to communicate, it's really wonderful, and you look at other situations like natural disasters. It is so useful to have this redundant internet infrastructure that we can just deploy, because everything runs over the internet these days. If a country just suddenly, maybe the internet backbone just had a few just catastrophes all at the same time, and the internet isn't working, being able to deploy satellite internet pretty fast is obviously very important, because businesses just need internet these days. So personally, I think this is very interesting. Now, it is going to get more and more crowded up there in space. I don't really know how big of a problem that is. That's not really my area of expertise, but I'm just stoked. We're getting more competition in this space. It's really exciting. So personally, I'm very happy, and just makes me pleased to know that if a freaking meteor hits, I'm still gonna be able to make the tech news and upload them through satellite internet.